And that is Charis, who 2 months ago you couldn't get near him, but now he's like a little shadow, sits on my lap, as he is now. We've tamed the wild beast out of him. He's still very playful. Anyway, on to the topic of this video. It was Julia, shout out to Simplicity Revealed channel, that actually reminded me of something. I don't know why I didn't say it in the last video, probably because there's so much to unpack from what happened. I refer to this fall that I had, which seems like it's only just over a week ago, and yet it seems a long time ago now. And if it wasn't for the slight bruising that I've got at the back of my head, I would think it was just a dream rather than something that actually happened. But if we substitute the word fall for the word collapse, it is very much, in a way, shall we say, like the firmly slamming shut of a chapter in an ongoing story. Whilst contemplating after the event the next day of what had happened, it had very much a feeling that something had been taken away, but not with that feeling of loss, more a kind of release of a weight off the shoulders, shall we say. And I thought, this is interesting. What is going to come out of this? It's still unfolding, I feel. But before we even get to that, let's consider who actually caused it all. I can only take full responsibility for it, because maybe about 3 videos ago, and I have definitely said this before, or words to this effect, I cannot talk about anything unless I put myself through the experience. So it begs the question, and it was something I was reminded of in an email. It's a story that Rudolf Steiner says about a boulder sort of rolling down the hill, and it's effectively your higher self dropping a mountain on your lower self to sort of put you back on the path. What has come out of this recently, I think it was on the last Monday, I had an email, and if I mention the word seashells to you, what do you automatically think of? What comes to mind? Would it be that type of spiral-shaped shell, the type that you can put to your ear and you hear the sound of the sea? We'll come back to that in a moment, because I feel that's very relevant in what that actually really shows. But when I read the word seashell, and I know beforehand, if I'd have seen that word or heard that word, the picture I would have had in my mind would have been of one of those spiral, conical shaped seashells. The kind like on a snail, that type of shell. But as I read this email, and it just so happens I have actually subsequently found one to illustrate the point here, the seashell that came into the mind's eye was like this, the clam type shell. Straight away, my mind went to the very famous painting of the birth of Venus, where she steps out of one of these clam type shells. So I feel that is also confirming it's a new birth. It's a start of a new chapter that is still unfolding. While I think of it in this video, I want to say a big thank you for the generosity that some of you have shown and the donations that you have sent. It's kept me going for another week and into the following week as things stand. I also, it looks like I have an opportunity to bring some much needed income in. But the door is always open for tarot card readings. The door is always open for mentorship, for any sort of guidance. If you're struggling with life, if you're suffering from panic attacks or anxiety, anything like that, then do please come and talk to me. The door is always open. And as we reach the end of January and turn the corner into February, it's the return of sunshine, therefore more solar power, therefore I would be able to do far more tarot card readings. It's as if the universe again is responding. So let's just have a recap here. I'm not sure if I've said this or if I've just thought it in the mind, so forgive me if I have already said this. I have to take full responsibility for what has happened, because as I have said on video several times, I have to put myself through the experience to be able to talk from a place of experience rather than as a concept that I haven't actually been through. So it is with gratitude. It is interesting. It does seem to have brought a sharper clarity to the mind, shall we say. Where we go from here, who knows? I certainly remember the experience as a child of putting one of those seashells to the ear and hearing the sound of waves. Now, of course, science will tell you it's just the sound echoing back of your blood. But let's really think about this for a moment. If everything is an external reflection, whilst from the scientific perspective that may equally be true, consider if you're putting a seashell to your ear and you're hearing the sound of the waves, the ebb and flow of the tide, does that not further give you confirmation that we are not separate from the universe? The rhythm of the sea is like the pulse where the blood is flowing around the body on an inward and outward flow, exactly the same way as the oceans do when they reach the seashore. They come in, they go out, the same way in which we breathe. We breathe in, we breathe out. There is a rhythm to all of these things. So whilst the scientific explanation may be true, it stands to reason that in the unseen realms it is also equally true in what it is showing, what it is reflecting back to us. That beautiful idea came through dialogue in an email. It's about where I get 50% of inspiration. It's not all what we call spiritual downloads. It is from conversations, it may be from comments in videos, it may be just from hearing one word. And of course there's the whole visual thing. I don't know how long this shell has been sitting on the kitchen windowsill. It's not sort of readily apparent, but yesterday something caught my eye and thought that's perfect to use in the video. They're a beautiful shape anyway. Well, I think so. So the other part of this video has just come back to me. I had a request in a comment from the last video, could I explain what the law of reversal is? Certainly I can, and I can give you personal testimony from 3 experiences of putting this law of reversal into action and able to share the results with you, which I shall recap in this video. So what is the law of reversal? Imagine you're watching, well, say a YouTube video, and you can tap the screen and you can go back in 10 or 20 second increments, and you could take it back, or you can take it back to the start of the video. You can move that red line right back and play it forward again. Whereas you are the observer of a video, what you are doing, you are being the observer of the external around you. So the first instance in which I was able to use the law of reversal was before I came to Portugal. I'd caught the corner of this finger on a metal grill. I was cooking something, and I hadn't got any oven gloves, so I just got a tea towel, but this finger was exposed, and I made contact with the hot metal, and it was, ouch, that's going to blister up. But straight away what came into the mind was use the law of reversal. So like when you rewind something you're watching and then play it forwards again, what you do, and it is far easier if you can do it in the moment after something happens, and that is to replay it. You rewind prior to the event, and then you play it forward again in your mind without the injury. So that is exactly what I did with that first instance with the grill and the burning of the finger. I overrode what was being shown to me by the external, and instead I did a rewrite, shall we say, and played the event forward with taking the grill out from under the stove without burning the finger. The next day there was no blister, there wasn't even any sensation that I'd even burnt my finger. The next event was, I'm just trying to think, when did I build this? That would have been just over a year ago. It was this, as you can see it here, this very chair here, and I decided to use it as a stepladder, taking a shortcut. I'd done it already twice before, stepped on the end of it, just on the metal parts, because it is just a sort of plastic weave, using it as a stepladder in the construction of this covered area that you can see behind me. No problem at all, although the chair did rock because I'd overbalanced the chair because I was on the very edge of it, but I was able to jump back. But on this third occasion I fell and hit the ground, and it hurt, the base of the spine, and the sort of bit of bruising feeling on I think it was the back of the right hip. But again, it's like, you know what to do. You enact and you call upon the law of reversal. You play the event forward. You've stepped on the chair, but instead of falling off the chair, you step down from the chair. So again, the next day, the body had been reprogrammed by playing that scene forward again in its new edited version. So there was no sensation of bruising, there was no discomfort. So that leads on to the third encounter with this. Strange encounters of the third kind, you could say. Now this one was slightly different. This one was the fall last Friday. I just happened to see 13:44 on the time duration. See, things just catch your eye, and of course it had to be a 44, a 144, you could say. Anyway, with this third time where I'd fallen and hit the tiled floor with the bruise at the back of the head, in this particular instance I couldn't exactly do the law of reversal, because between the sensation of feeling faint and thinking I better go and use the toilet, there is a complete blank. And then the next thing that I can consciously remember is being in bed with the sensation of the throbbing at the back of the head and all the aches. And I remember at that time the thought came into the mind of, this is going to be an interesting challenge. How do we do the law of reversal when we haven't seen the story play out? If anything, it made it easier, because I was able to create in my imagination the steps of, well, I obviously fell because I have the evidence of the bruising that I could feel. But I don't remember the actual fall, and I certainly don't remember getting myself back up again and getting into bed. So I had to imagine that part, but with a lot of editing to take that out. And I thought this is going to be an interesting exercise in how can we overcome this event that we only know of in sensation, that we did not actually witness. And the result was a, should we say, a 50% success, because it certainly lessened the feeling of aches and bruising. The only real evidence was just this swollen bit at the back of the head. It's still slightly there, but there again I am reinforcing it by even talking about it. But what it does show is that from the mind you can overwrite anything, and the sooner you can do it after something has happened, the easier it is to recall and replay or rewind, stepping back in time, as it were, to just prior to the injury and then playing it forward without the injury. And you're impressing upon the physical body an instruction which the body will then obey, and it will certainly lessen, if not, and alleviate, if not completely get rid of any injuries, any subsequent bruising, aches and pains. So that is what the law of reversal is. It's basically like you're watching a film, you rewind it, and then you play it forward again, and you're now editing the story to a more positive outcome without the injury. So hopefully that has explained it. The key is to let that idea pop into your mind when such an event happens, because it is so easy to be pulled into the external and focus on the sensation of pain, the sensation of injury, and so on. But if you can overcome that, now I'm not saying practice, practice, practice in the sense of go and hurt yourself to prove this, but in the event that you do find that something happens to you, then that is the time to put this law of reversal into action. It is an interactive realm. That is a form of taking action and then creating the story that you wish to be played out, rather than the one that the external is presenting to you. So I hope that has helped clarify what the law of reversal is. I hope that has maybe given you some inspiration and helped to show not only are we not separate from this entire reality as such, we are connected because we are in this reality, in something that belongs to this reality, which is the physical body. But we are not the actual physical body. That is just a vehicle that carries us around to be able to operate in a physical realm. So, as always, I'm going to say unconditional love to you all. I don't want to make this video too long, but just as a reminder, it certainly helps me, and it will certainly help you if you feel so inclined and require a tarot card reading, which will just evaluate where you are at in the moment, and then at least offer you a different way of looking at things, in the same way as, is it the sound of our own blood that we hear in the seashell, or is there something more to it that cannot be explained by science? This reality is all about the material. It's all about measuring and calculations and such like, applying labels. But this is something that comes from an unseen realm of potential. How that potential explodes out into this reality whether it is something destructive or whether it is something that is creative, really is down to your own thoughts, what you put into what you're interacting with. I've likened the iris of the eyes, the coloured part of the eye, as being like a multi-strand cable. So if you imagine you've got a cross-section cut through this cable, you've now got all these wires which are basically open-ended and are reacting or acting and responding with this interactive external reality. So you do have it within you to change your circumstances. It's just whether you can invoke the law of assumption or not. That is another one very much I would recommend that you familiarize yourself with. I'm sure many of you have heard of the law of attraction. By definition, that means you haven't got it, but the law of assumption is assuming you already have that which you desire. And it takes a lot more effort in overcoming the external facts, as it were, that are being presented to you of that's impossible, it's not going to happen, and just holding true to that which you vision and the outcome you wish to see. Not that far disconnected from the law of reversal. There may be a way of even combining those two laws and doing something spectacular with them, and creating something that can benefit many others. That is certainly part of what I'm visioning, or have visioned, I should say. Because you don't go back to it and doubt it, you've created it and you hold to it no matter what this external says. So right now, it's gone cloudy and got a little bit cooler. But I'm visioning sunshine and feeling that warmth on my skin again, rather than having to put a coat on. And it is only passing clouds after all, and the sun is still there, whether you can see it or not. It's going to bring the warmth. It's certainly bringing the illumination into this reality as well. Right, that's plenty long enough, and I shall say, as always, unconditional love to you all.